So I get a lot of questions when I post shooting videos about what my range belt setup is. So today I'm going to kind of talk about that because I generally use one belt with a few different things that I swap on or off depending on what I'm doing so that it can be more versatile. Some people like to have multiple belt setups, and I'm not saying that I don't have multiple belt setups, but I've just gravitated towards this one and making it more versatile. Could I potentially diversify my belt setups and get each one of them more finely tuned to the specific setup that I'm going for? Yeah, but I think that generally the way that I have my belt setup is more versatile and more useful for me and likely more useful for you. So today I'm going to talk about a very versatile setup that I think might be applicable to your needs, because chances are you shoot more than one gun. You probably have more than one pistol, which means you might be finding yourself in a similar boat of how do I get the most with the least? So let's talk about what this is. We're talking about outside the waistband duty belt. I'm not a cop, never been in the military. I don't claim to be, I've never claimed to be, and I have no desire to be. I'm pretty established in my life and career at this point to make that sort of change up, even if I wanted to. So two-piece belt setup. Some people like the single piece that just goes over the outside. I used to use a setup like that, but I find that this is just a little bit better, in my opinion, for my use, but it's very versatile. We'll start with the inner belt. Inner belts that you typically see online are like this, where they have soft Velcro on the outside. The reason it's soft on the outside is so if you're wearing this without the outer belt, it's not ripping the hell out of your clothing when you're not wearing it. The inner belt that I'm using is a Hunter Constantine belt, very, very similar to my everyday carry belt that I use. The main difference with this one, it does not have the metal reinforcement. It has significantly more surface area and much less elastic stretch along the back. The reason I like this is because it does have that little bit of stretch, so it's comfortable, and it will also work with setups that have some sort of ratcheting mechanism by allowing it to have that give. Some setups don't, but some do. This, because it has this little elastic setup, it works well with the outer belt. So inner belt from Hunter Constantine, this was a pre-production like sort of prototype, but they are actually, I believe, selling this at this point. Code Reno will save you some money there. The outer belt itself is from Core Essentials. Core Essentials makes very popular ratcheting everyday carry belts that you can adjust very small amounts. Gives you a little bit of wiggle room depending on how much clothing you're wearing, which a lot of people do like, myself included. I don't use their belts so much anymore when it comes to everyday carry, but for the range belt, I think that this is kind of what I've settled on as my ideal. I think they sent this out to me. They might have sent it out to me like 2 years ago. I've had this for a while, what I'm getting at, and I don't quite remember. I don't know if I have a code with them. Maybe I do. The belt itself is nice. It has MOLLE webbing, but I use mostly Blade Tech attachment points, which I'll get to in a second about why. But being able to buy one belt, doesn't matter what size it is, cut it down, and then you have some adjustment room, very nice. I very much appreciate that. When I put this on, I actually, if you look, I'm a right-handed shooter. The adjustment point, I put at the back because I want this front section usable depending on where I want to put my holster attachments and where I want to put my magazine caddy attachments. So putting this at the back might be less ideal for people that, you know, carry for law enforcement. But if you're in law enforcement or the military, why are you watching my video? This is probably not relevant to your use case. But this adjustment point here is nice. I put it in the back, so if I was sitting in the car for a long time, probably not ideal, but for my type of shooting, this is what I've sort of settled on. The mag caddies themselves, you'll notice that I had this one with a G written on it. That's because it works with Glock mags. This one here that is on the belt that says 2011 works with 2011 magazines. I typically carry one kind of canted in the front, so when I go for a reload, it's right there. It's a little bit easier. It's out of the way because on a lot of stages, I'm probably only reloading once generally. So I go for that first easy reload. It's quicker. It's a gamer move. I don't know. I might play around with the actual cant and angle and make it more less angled, but that's why I have that. Two more here. The rifle mag attachment always stays there. The tourniquet is usually only there if I'm going to be shooting a P320. Jokes, but this doesn't always live here. Sometimes it's not as comfortable. If I'm shooting a lot of rifle and I don't want it there, I could take it off. All of these are attached with Blade Tech attachment methods, so you could adjust this depending on what width your belt is. Clicks on, locks in place. It ain't going anywhere. It's pretty tight around the belt because the belt thickness makes it very secure and sturdy. On the 2011 ones, I actually have put Velcro backers, so inside belt, soft loop, outside belt is the hook, and I put hook backers on the back of some of these mag caddies so it gives a little bit more grip to it, because if you really load this belt up without having the backers, you're not getting a whole lot of Velcro on Velcro action, which might be less secure. So that's that stuff. Let's talk about the holster attachment method. This is a cheap knockoff of the Northwest Concepts, I believe, hanger. I bought a cheap knockoff just to see if I liked the concept. I'm probably going to swap this for a legitimate one, even though this does seem to be working just fine, and I'll keep this as a backup maybe. Then I use the Safariland QLS system for whatever holster I'm using. I have some retention style holsters, but I don't use these as often. These are designed for Glocks, and I haven't been shooting my Glocks outside waistband nearly as much lately because I've been mostly training inside the waistband stuff, just in general. But when I'm shooting out on the range just for content purposes, or if I'm shooting rifle, I like to use this whole full belt setup because it's nice, it's more practical. But any of these with the Safariland fork, I can just swap that on and off and swap my holsters really quickly. You can tell I got a whole drawer full of holsters over there. The holsters themselves, I have mostly, at this point, standardized on one manufacturer for holsters, and that is Tier 1 Concealed. The reason that I have swapped to this is because as long as I use the right light, this universal holster will work with any gun with that light on it. So I have an Atlas 2011, really big gun. I have a Glock with the TLR1, much smaller gun, and that fits just fine. So this gives me versatility. As someone that shoots a lot of different types of guns, I think the adaptable holsters that can work with any gun is a huge, huge value. Otherwise, I would be buying a holster for my SIG, a holster for my Glocks, a holster for my 2011, a holster for a different 2011 that doesn't work with that same holster, a holster for any other gun that I happen to be getting in for review. But if I use this, boom, it works. Then if I use my inside waistband holster, same thing, same concept, same company, Tier 1 Concealed, the MSP holsters. I think it's a joint collaboration with Modern Samurai Project. So most of my guns are going to be getting a TLR1 on them because I like the switchology of them. I like these lights. They're a little bit smaller, so on my carry gun, which is a Glock 19 with a Radian ramjet on it, being able to put a TLR1 on it versus like a Surefire X300 or a mod light, it fits just a little bit better. If I'm putting a mod light on it, at that point, why don't I just carry a Glock 34? You know, it's just so much longer that I think the TLR1 is just a better fit in my opinion. I also have some holsters for the mod lights. Same holster, Tier 1 Concealed MSP. They make this for the TLR1, the X300, and the mod light, and that's what this one is here. So I got my steel frame P320 with a mod light on it. I write mod light and I write TLR on the holster. So I know, depending on what guns I'm bringing, what lights they have on them, I know if I need to bring both holsters or not. It's just really brain dead simple. I have more Glock mag pouches, so if I'm shooting guns that run Glock mags, if I'm gonna be doing that all day, I'll just swap these off, boom, 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 and then I have them set up properly. So what this setup gives me is one belt, a couple different mag carriers of different types, and then different holsters. And I have one belt to rule them all because I find that that is just significantly more practical for me. If I want to shoot Glock mag guns and 2011 mag guns in the same day, all I have to bring extra wise is 3 of these. and they fit in my Save Your Equipment bag really easy. Just throw them in there. Then if I'm deciding that, oh, I'm gonna shoot Glock for the rest of the day, boom, boom, boom. Now I'm a Glock guy, okay? Take this out. Swap it off. Now I'm a sweaty 2011 gamer. So that's why I have my belt set up the way it is. Core Essentials outer belt, Hunter Constantine inner belt. I like this over the Core Essentials inner belt because this works better as an everyday carry belt. So when I go to the range, I have this holster on with, you know, maybe we'll do this gun. I'll go to the range, I've got my gun, I've got my belt. This holds plenty sturdy, not as sturdy as, you know, the Hunter Constantine reinforced belt, but this holds pretty dang good. I then just take the holster off, put the belt on, move the gun around to whatever gun I'm going to be shooting in that holster, and I'm good to go. So that's my range belt setup. I think it's very versatile, and maybe you will find some interest in this. This content is likely going on the second channel and not the main channel. I want to see if I can get some growth on this channel without promoting it on the main channel whatsoever. Purpose of this channel is just going to be to allow me to yap and chat about things with a whole lot less effort, production value. If you want to see any specific type of content on this channel of me just chatting about things that you don't think would be necessary on the main channel or distracting on the main channel, let me know. We'll see what we do here. No idea what the goal of this channel is going to be, but it's here, and maybe it'll die out eventually. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous, all that jazz. Thank you.